I want to talk to you about healing. We are going through the Bible with 40 words as our guide. And if we're going to summarize the Bible in 40 words, one of those words has to be healing. And nowhere else do we see the healing power of God than in the Gospel of Luke that we're going to read this week. Once again, gospel would have been preached to the people all in one sitting. And so if at all possible, try to read it either in one sitting or in big chunks to get the experience of seeing it all together. I think you've got the idea. Maybe I can take those off. Healing is important to Luke because he was a doctor. When we get to the book of Acts, you'll see that Paul was traveling around preaching, and Luke was someone who went with him, who was converted to Christianity, and he was a doctor by trade. And so Luke notices, more than anything else, when he tells the story about Jesus, he notices the healings. And so when you read Luke, if you've read Mark and Matthew, even a bit of them, it's all going to sound familiar. Didn't I just read this? Why do we have 4 Gospels instead of just one? It might be helpful, if you want to go deeper, to find a book like this that shows the stories in 3 columns, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, to show how they compare. Maybe both Gospels have a story and the third doesn't. What it appears to be is that the Gospel of Mark, the shortest, was written first, and that Luke and Matthew had that as a resource, and they built on that and expanded on that and shared more stories that Mark hadn't written down. It's also possible that there was another source, a mysterious source that scholars have named Q, for Quell, the German word that means source. There might have been this collection of Jesus's saying, these short little sayings that Jesus had, because they appear in both Matthew and Luke. So when Luke came on the scene, this was after Jesus left this earth in body. And so there was some time for things to develop, for things to come together. And Luke could go deeper. He could tell the story of Jesus's birth. You'll see Christmas in there, as this is the only story the only gospel that tells the story of the angels and shepherds and those familiar things that we know about from Christmas pageants. And the thing about Luke, the doctor, the one who's really looking at healing, is he has a great concern for the least, the last, and the lost. The lost sheep, the lost coin, and that beautiful story of the prodigal son that we only find in Luke. Luke has a heart for the outsiders, and someone who came into the faith. You can kind of see why. And so for many, Luke is a favorite gospel. The most stories of women and all these stories of healing. It's a story, a gospel for the outsiders, for the broken and those who need healing. So I hope that you'll find God in it and enjoy your reading of the Gospel of Luke. Happy reading.